One morning, Donald Trump decided to take a break from his hectic schedule and get away from the hustle and bustle of the city. After an important meeting in Manhattan, he chose to take a walk in Central Park to clear his mind. The rain had just started, but Trump, enjoying the energy of the city, continued walking. As he passed by a cafe on the corner, something caught his eye. On the sidewalk, an older man sat leaning against a building, holding a cardboard sign that read, "Veteran, need help." His clothes were ragged, and his face looked weary, as if life had taken a toll on him. Trump walked up to him, ignoring the busy crowd around him. He was struck by the man's tired eyes. "Excuse me," Trump said, kneeling in front of the man. "What's your name?" The man looked up, startled. "Mike," he replied. "Mike Harrison?" Trump sat down beside him and looked at the man carefully. "Mike, you were once someone who had purpose, weren't you?" Trump asked. Mike, looking down at the ground, responded, "Yes, I served in the army, went to war a few times, but when I came back, things were never the same. A work injury, then the bills piled up. I lost my home. Now I'm just trying to survive." Trump took a deep breath, processing what Mike had just said. The man had dedicated years of his life to serving his country, and now he was struggling on the streets. Trump couldn't just walk away. "Mike," Trump said, pulling out his phone, "we're going to get you some help." He quickly dialed a number. "Margaret," Trump said, "find the nearest shelter with availability and get a doctor. Tell them it's urgent." Margaret answered right away, and Trump hung up the phone. He turned back to Mike. "Help is on the way, but first," Trump said, "let's get you something warm to eat." Trump flagged down a nearby food vendor and bought Mike a hot bowl of soup and a sandwich. Mike ate slowly, his hands shaking from the cold. As he ate, Trump asked him about his life, his time in the army, the battles he fought, and how he ended up here. Mike told him about his deployments, the friends he had lost, and the injury that had ended his career. He spoke about how the transition to civilian life had been much harder than he had ever imagined. A short time later, a sleek black SUV pulled up. Margaret had worked quickly. A well-dressed driver stepped out and opened the door. "Mike," Trump said gently, helping him to his feet, "we're taking you somewhere safe." Mike hesitated. "Why are you doing this, Mr. Trump?" he asked. "You don't even know me." Trump looked him in the eye. "Because someone should have helped you a long time ago." The SUV whisked them away to a nearby luxury hotel. Margaret greeted them at the door, and the hotel staff treated Mike like a VIP. He was escorted to a suite on the top floor, where a hot shower, fresh clothes, and a warm bed awaited him. A doctor arrived shortly after to examine Mike, providing medication for his ailments and offering advice on how to regain his health. Meanwhile, Margaret had contacted Veteran Aid Project, a nonprofit organization specializing in helping homeless veterans reintegrate into society. Within the hour, their representative, a cheerful woman named Lisa, arrived to meet Mike. Lisa sat beside him and said, "Mike, we're going to help you with housing, job training, and everything else you need. You're not alone anymore." Mike's eyes welled up with tears. He looked at Trump, who stood quietly in the corner, and said, "I don't know how to thank you, Mr. Trump." Trump stepped forward with a kind smile. "You don't need to thank me, Mike. You've earned this a long time ago." By the next morning, Mike had a new plan for his life. Veteran Aid Project had found him temporary housing, and Trump had arranged for his foundation to cover his rent for the first year. He even handed Mike a check to help with immediate expenses. As Trump prepared to leave, Mike stopped him. "Mr. Trump," he said, now with a steady voice, "you've changed my life in ways I can't describe. Thank you so much." Trump smiled and replied, "Mike, you're going to do great things. Just promise me one thing, pay it forward." Mike, with newfound determination, nodded and said, "Someday I will." As Trump walked out of the hotel and back into the bustling city, he felt a quiet sense of satisfaction. In a matter of hours, one life had been transformed. And for Mike Harrison, the future suddenly looked bright.